Starfield performance in the gameplay has been a continued question mark for many people. When we watched the Starfield gameplay reveal, I said that I thought the Starfield performance wasn't looking so hot. Right now, there's an IGN video we are going to be watching, reacting to, and breaking down. It is entitled Starfield Performance Preview. So we're going to be reacting to that and watching that. If you want to watch the original content, it's on the official IGN channel. We're going to be taking a look at this. We've been covering Starfield pretty extensively, so make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. My live streams tend to be anywhere from 2 to 3 hours long. I usually put like everything I think right at the beginning, but I can't do that when we're going to be watching a video. I also have a Starfield news playlist on this channel. I'm going to end the previous stream and redirect everybody over. We were talking about the new Sea of Thieves season and why I think they're continuing to make fundamental design decision flaws, and it was a really, really good, lively debate. It was a fairly lengthy stream. So we're going to get right into this. I want to give this video the opportunity to play really, really early in the stream because I don't want people to feel like they have to go searching for anything.
Bethesda are now one of the biggest studios in Microsoft's portfolio, and they have been delivering hits since the MS-DOS and Commodore Amiga days. Earlier this summer, they revealed gameplay of arguably their most anticipated title to date. So let's take a flight into Starfield. From a team that has brought us the likes of Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series, it almost seems inevitable that a space-focused RPG was always within their DNA. Announced in 2018, this Xbox and PC exclusive has built excitement from that very day, with very little being shown. But with a 2023 release planned, the gameplay reveal was overdue and has given us a chance to understand just what the team are delivering here. At a headline level, it's based on an evolved version of the Creation Engine, regally entitled the Creation Engine II. It has clear similarities with its rendering output to both Fallout 76 and in some ways Skyrim, which were built on the Creation Engine. Much of the basis that Fallout 4 and later titles ushered in, though, were physically based lighting shaders and materials. A deferred tile-based rendering pipeline which enables the high dynamic light sources across all games use, volumetric lighting, and more accepted modern techniques. But technology delivers a great deal more than just the visuals. Have it physics, aids animation, AI, and quest building stem from the engine's Radiant system, and much of these are what make up the core DNA of Bethesda games. As such, I wanted to break the main constituent parts of the engine down, compare them to previous titles, and see how they have or have not improved.
Now, one of the things I want to highlight here is that they are consistently showing Fallout 76. This is something Creature and I have butted heads out about a little bit, that they show Fallout 4 too much. He's like, why wouldn't they show the most recent game when making these comparisons? There's not a huge difference in graphical fidelity between Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. They're basically the same game. Also, the interactions in Fallout 4 are more analogous and more like the interactions that you're going to be having in Starfield. But I am glad that in this video in particular, when they're showing advancements in the Creation Engine, that we are getting to see both Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. So this is not misleading. If Creature starts saying that in chat, just tell him to look at the video because it clearly says on screen multiple times they're showing both Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. They're not being misleading. They're showing both games that used Creation Engine to show the differences in Starfield. So it's not misleading. I think that's such a false narrative. I think that's such a red herring. It has nothing to do with this video. I don't want that to become a point of discussion today. They are consistently showing both games, and I think that's completely fair when comparing Starfield to what's essentially, I think it's almost like its spiritual prequel. Fallout is essentially what you're going to be experiencing in Starfield, is a Fallout 5 game in space, kind of. So do what you can to help out this video and stream. We're checking out IGN's video looking at Starfield Performance Preview. Smash that like button. We are in a new stream, so make sure you're on live chat so you can see what everybody's saying, and make sure you're smashing that like button. Creature's not always misleading. I don't want that to be overstated. I think they do a good job in this video, and I don't want that to become a focal point of discussion. All right, let's get back to the video.
Keep in mind, this is all based on work-in-progress footage, and the team will be working ahead of its launch. As such, all, some, or none of these areas could change upon release. And with that cleared up, let's begin with the cover of the book and those rendering changes.
Welcome to Constellation. We have a lot to talk about.
Now, Fallout 4 and 76 really improved on building atmosphere within that real-world rendering and scale. From your emergence out of the shelters to the ruined wasteland sprawling out in front of you, to the depth it created with volumetric lighting, it instantly had an imposing and grandiose feel to it. Starfield has certainly taken this as the baseline and improved the resolution, the composite levels of those materials, and some form of GI bounce is factored in, but looks better here than it did in the Fallout titles. Scale is again front and center, with long barren vistas, much like Fallout. Height fog is again used, which will be a combination of flat 2D billboard sprites that can be raised and lowered to create depth and simulate atmospheric scattering of the air pollution and light reactions. Then volumetrics are also used, but mostly here within the interior sections. These do appear to have a distinct change though from those exterior sections, just like Fallout and Fallout 76, where I suspect these sections actually load into the bigger indoor areas, and that can then change the rendering, which is what we're seeing here.
Now, I do think it's important to notice the similarities here as well. Like, he's pointing out the differences in the rendering and the fog and everything else, but I think it's also to point out the similarities. Like, pay close attention to room design and structures and textures, because I do think there are elements of Starfield that do still feel somewhat hamstrung by the creation engine, okay? Could we get 25 more likes, guys? Give us those first 100 likes really, really quickly. There's tons of people here. If you've never been here before, we are checking out the Starfield performance preview from IGN. Usually I am in this scene talking to the audience and having a talk show, but today we're checking this out. We already did a talk show this morning about Sea of Thieves, so sit back and enjoy this video. I am a fan of Starfield, but I do have my concerns about performance of the game, the shooting mechanics and the physics and the feel. I'm also concerned about everything he just talked about and how it's going to run on the Xbox Series S, which is a weaker system with respect to certain elements that other developers have highlighted as problematic, with drastically slower memory and less memory. So
shadow casting light sources are obviously much higher due to the electrical lights dotted around them, as are the shadow map quality themselves compared to outdoors, which use a softer penumbra effect, which is better than previous titles, but obviously a much lower resolution and cascades, which can cause dithering and flickering.
Now, this is good. He's very observant. I love this. I noticed that too in a couple of the scenes where they were like in the towns and stuff. The shadows have almost a fuzziness to them and a blurriness to them when you're outside, and you can see some of the flickering, and he says, and some of the dithering. That again is something that can be optimized, fixed, and sharpened up. This is early game footage. Those are things that can be polished. Those aren't game breaking either. No one's looking at shadows unless they're breaking down a video like this. Typically when you're playing a game, you might notice the shadows, you might notice the flickering. I think the flickering is probably more important than the crispness of the shadows.
These do appear to be using a reconstruction, or at least part of the TAA specific pass, causing some creatures' shadows to be more stable but exhibit ghosting artifacts as they move. The light and shadows are mixed with volumetrics, creating metallic look to most surfaces and sections here, with high gloss surfaces, metallic or not. This also shows that from what we can see anyway, screen space reflections likely remain within the engine, but they're not used here and not replaced with ray trace reflections or other post effects. Now, this is inherently not a bad thing, but the game does use a great deal of SSR on water bodies in previous titles, and of all the areas shown so far, this doesn't appear to be the case, meaning projected cube maps and imposter light probes are relied on to simulate specular highlights and emphasize material quality. This may be a dual target of keeping resolutions and performance as high as possible across all platforms, ensuring that it can scale and run on the base Xbox One or lower end PCs, as this forms a good portion of its intended marketplace.
Again, I think it's really, really important to look at the similarities here. I think that's key. I'm not saying that Starfield looks bad. I'm saying I think we're getting glimpses at the ceiling of the creation engine. The creation engine in Fallout 76 compared to the creation 2 in Starfield. Just lots of similarities. That doesn't mean that the game is going to be bad. I actually think that the game looks significantly better. I think many people have overstated Starfield's lack of graphical sharpness. They're like, it looks just like Fallout. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think Starfield looks very, very good and very much improved, but you still, I think it's good. I think it's very, very good to comb over this footage and say, yeah, there's still a lot of similarities. Those may be indications. That the ceiling on the creation engine are starting to get bucked up against. The Fallout in space comparisons seem pretty valid. Yeah, I think that's a very, very valid. That's a very, very valid thing to say, that this is going to be very much like Fallout in space, which is why I was one of the people defending Starfield. I know Low Cut wants to come in and take a shot, a cheap shot with zero intellectual credibility and honesty, because if you go back and watch a lot of my footage in my shorts, I've been actually heavily defending Starfield. So that's me saying in a polite way to shut the frick up.
A good start for sure, with rocky surfaces and tech-noir-like cities showing that the art and tech team have created a variety within the engine and the game world overall to ensure that we do not have 1,000 plus planets that are various shades of copy-paste grey. This also includes some nice fauna and flora sections, and I desperately want to see more of the worlds that the team have created. Characters and emotions are another core area of the game, and Starfield does look to have made a significant improvement here.
This is where we had a huge hot debate. So for the people that think I only hate on Xbox and I only defend Sony, you're ignorant and wrong. You can go watch my content. I literally have a video entitled Starfield. I forget what it was titled, but the thumbnail says Starfield, I was wrong about this. And I heavily argue in that game that this game has, I heavily argue in that video that this game has significantly improved upon what Fallout did. And I spent most of that stream arguing with people that said, I think quite dishonestly, that this game didn't look any better than Fallout 4. I think that those people were just being dishonest haters, and I sat and I defended Starfield for at least 2 hours, looking at all these various screens, and looking at all these faces and facial animations and arguing that it looked significantly better than previous games. So again, those of you that want to run the fanboy narrative, you look absolutely foolish if you at all check any of my previous Starfield coverage. What is this about, a showcase for Hogwarts Legacy? Where are you seeing that? I don't understand why you're asking about Hogwarts Legacy.
PBR materials show better and more fleshy skin. A simulated subsurface scattering is present. Specular highlights in skin and higher bone rigs on faces themselves show a demonstrable improvement over Fallout. As these conversation sections will incorporate both main and side quest NPCs, the quality is also much higher here from the examples shown, as they likely form the core story part. Performance capture here would be far too large an undertaking, so these will likely be built by using an improved text-to-speech phonetic system, which we've seen in earlier games and other titles. The shape of vowels and letters is good, with a good blend of facial expression to emphasize the meaning, again improving on previous titles. Like many of these solutions, it can have wooden moments, but I'm confident the sheer extent of dialogue, story and quest it will contain, the level and quality shown here, is certainly good enough to allow the team to iterate as fast as possible whilst delivering high quality stories for us to enjoy. And it will be interesting to hear more on the specifics around what they've done here to balance the script and voice recordings within that automated or procedural animation system. The actual character models you create are not as impressive though, with the same issues we've seen in earlier games, namely eye parallax, blinking, pupils and emotion all looking very flat and effectively not convincing you they're humans at all. Made worse by limited facial bones, low hair cards and general vertex shifted feature set to choose from. That said, you will likely not see yourself a great deal in the game, so it may not be that impactful, but it is far from the best avatar creator we have seen.
I actually really appreciate the way he phrased some of that. A lot of people were telling me that these, the characters looked like dolls or mannequins, or that they looked dead. I think he did a pretty good job there explaining at a technical level why the character design still is at some level not that great. It is certainly good. It is certainly significantly improved upon when compared, to Fallout 76 and Fallout 4. However, when he stated it that way and really broke it down, I see exactly what people are talking about. There's a glassy-eyed, sort of dead-eyed stare, the lack of, their pupils and their eyes looking sort of real. And, he talked about the lack of, facial bones and things like that. I do think, Uncanny Valley, it's a little bit Uncanny Valley, but it's also like they look like, if you've ever been to one of those places where they have like the automatons or whatever, like talking, like the Hall of Presidents at Disney or whatever. Do you remember that skit they did on SNL where they were going through the park ride and they would pop up and be like, they'd like move like robots and like sing a song? Everybody kind of looks like that. I don't want to be like over scrutinizing something that fundamentally is not that important. Like, I don't think it's going to ruin the game experience. I think the character models in this game look very good. I stand by my defense of them in a previous video. I think they look great. Yeah, animatronics, thank you. But it does have that wax museum dead-eyed stare that they could improve upon. But again, I still think that people that say this doesn't look any better than their previous games, I just think that those people are not being honest. So, the gunplay and the characters seem like Fallout. I dig it. Yeah, the gunplay is actually one of my primary concerns. I don't know if he talks about that in this video.
You found something?
The new guy found it.
You dug up the artifact, right? That means you saw it. The visions?
The artifact you found appears to be one of many, scattered across the galaxy.
Animation itself is another area that always has mixed results in Bethesda games. Starfield certainly shows big improvements here. Running, combat, hiding, and even walking show clear shifts between animation cycles, helped by that Havoc integration here when shot or hit, significantly improving this on the very wooden and flat death animations of older titles. But this section here, as you come into the room, the stiff attack from the enemies and relatively weak grip on life they appear to have means they look little more than low-level cannon fodder. This is mirrored against other set AI routines being played out and offers a stiff-looking combat example, one not helped by another key area that remains from all their previous titles. Dynamic movement of the world, and specifically foliage and destruction. Boxes are either crates to open or adamantium barricades that are equally weighted and floaty or immovable. If I could make a request to the team, it would be to integrate physics more into the world itself, to allow trees, shrubs to bob and sway around explosions and gunshots, objects to break and react to pressure waves of explosions, break down when used as cover under fire, and even form tactics within your gameplay, such as planting explosives for traps to create bridges to fall, rocks to crumble, or more. This would not only enhance the visual presentation we see, but also improve the interaction and tactical elements of gameplay.
He's doing such a great job of giving meat. He's giving meat to the scaffolding. I couldn't put into words why I didn't think the combat looked that good. I was worried. I was like, something is wrong. It seems very flat. I think he did a great job expressing it here. Like, there is a very, very clear lack of impact, right? There's just a lack of impact. You're not really impacting the enemies or the world that much. It has a sort of dead feel to it, as if have you ever seen those movies where they like go back in time and they can't really impact anything? Certain things won't move, certain things can't happen. That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm actually not in the world. I'm sort of disconnected from that. And then the enemy's movement and sort of their... I don't think that's a problem anyway. These are level 2 enemies. I expect them to be stupid and die fast. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. He said they seem like low-level cannon fodder. Well, they are. That you can literally see the number 2 next to their name. So to me, I don't think that's a valid criticism. If he was making and stating that as a criticism. When Sony had time exclusive rights to Bethesda games, everybody was like, Bethesda can do no wrong. But now that Microsoft owns Bethesda, everything Bethesda does is scrutinized. What a joke. Again, you're just a dishonest person. I'm not going to interact with you because you're just basically saying things that aren't true. That is, if you go back and look at Fallout 4 and the reaction of that people had to both Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, saying something as just brain dead stupid as everything Bethesda did they could do no wrong, you're just a liar. You didn't pay attention to the last 2 major games they released. So either speak the truth or shut the frick up.
I do need to caveat this again with a statement at the start that this is what we've seen so far. It may already be in the game or planned for launch. The point is the world and materials look great throughout, but the physicality and fragility of the world is an area I would still like to see improve. Animals, robots and NPCs are another area that is always of good quality in Bethesda games, but not the best. The panning and walking shots on Terra Firma show that little has changed here. Spider-like creatures or an aliens-like cargo skeletal robot all look similar to what we've seen before. This backs up my earlier comment on iteration. Clear similarities to No Man's Sky are unavoidable, but the resource collection would be significantly improved with more dramatic and effects-based level of geometric destruction as you break off parts for mining. This, paired with procedural destruction of enemies, could really help raise the exploration and combat sections and increase that physicality again. Everything looks very good and physically very plausible, but the interaction and rigidity of it all can lessen the strong impression it has in other areas.
It would appear that pirates of the Crimson Fleet are using the facility.
And that is...
I'm curious if he's going to mention the pop-in. That was one of the things we noticed in that area that was a little concerning. I love the use of fog and the draw distance and the textures. I think that opening area looks fantastic, but there was pop-in in the video. I don't know if he's going to talk about that or not. I don't think pop-in is a deal breaker. I think plenty of games suffer and struggle from pop-in. I do think pop-in during a release, sort of like reveal, I think that is concerning. I think that makes me look at the Xbox Series S with concern, given some of the commentary we've had from developers. This game might be a little too hefty for that console. I actually think that's one of the primary reasons for the delay. A lot of people don't like my commentary on that, but I do. I think Starfield's delay will one day be revealed to primarily be rooted around optimizing the game for the Series S. That's my prediction. And just some of the footage we've already seen, I think, kind of backs that up. Yo, what's good, Texas? If you guys are just tuning in, we're checking out the Starfield performance preview. They're combing over all of the Starfield gameplay and breaking down, there's a great IGN video, breaking down all of the noticeable improvements from the Creation Engine in previous Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 games up to Creation Engine 2. And so we are watching the video and kind of reacting and having dialogue about it and just noticing the same things that, he may be pointing out. So do me a favor and smash that like button if you enjoy my content and my commentary. I am a Safe for Work broadcaster. Usually I am in this scene having a talk show, but we're doing a breakdown of a video today. And because I'm Safe for Work, you can turn me on in the background like a podcast. So make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. Push us to another sub milestone. Maybe even consider becoming a member, or hey, consider gifting some members. We're continuing to hit great milestones on members, and we're pushing for another big one.
Is the space sections here. The opportunity with the space and galaxy travel, for me, is very exciting. It takes me back to the days of Elite and trading cargo or choosing to be a bounty hunter. This could be a hidden gem of the game overall, as you take on missions and then engage in dramatic and dynamic space battles with friend and foe alike. Building your own ship, designing the layout, the chassis, the cockpit, the weapons arsenal, and more. This is sci-fi heaven to a Trekkie fan like myself. It really has the potential to create a core character to complement your own avatar design and allows you to form a bond with your ship and your crew you may employ to run it.
I love that he mentioned that. I have been watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I'm not kidding you. I thought about this a couple of episodes. I thought, I actually think I'm really going to enjoy that aspect of Starfield. Like having a ship that I'm invested in, sort of living in, sort of, living out my RPG adventure and going to all these different planets. I'm not kidding you. I actually watched a couple episodes recently of Star Trek: The Next Generation and thought, oh man, I think Starfield's going to be a really fun game. And just now when they were walking around the ship, the insides, that's more exciting than this clip here. I think the outside customization is cool, but like the inside taking shape and having, maybe a crew and different computers and stuff, I get really excited about that. I think that was a really, really good connection that he just made, because I've just really been enjoying the pleasantness of Star Trek The Next Generation, and I think this game is going to bring some of that as well. I said similar things about No Man's Sky the other day when we played it. It's just such a pleasant game to be in, and I think this game can bring that as well. I really, really think so.
The resource mining stations you may build. Combat looks to play into the floaty physics we see elsewhere in the game, and it works perfectly here. Particle explosions, dogfight, cloak and dagger, and even warp speed travel. The potential here is for far grander and bigger battles with AI-controlled comrades and a fleet of AI-controlled foes. This for me was the single biggest factor that Starfield demonstrated and had me hooked, not only in what they actually teased, but more so the potential it demonstrated for the title. That could scratch a huge aspect of that lone space marine itch, the RPG area that many of us still have. I cannot wait to see more from the team later this year and what this could add to the exhaustive package they show. Some gaps or questions do remain. How linked are the space travels to the planet landings, for example? Rumblings are these sections are merely canned animations played out as you enter the atmosphere or leave it. For me, this would be a grave error, as one immense and evocative aspect of No Man's Sky is the ability to run to your ship, take off through the clouds and stratosphere before being plunged into open space, and even more so reverse that, travel and enter the planet from space. This could and should be a core target for the team, as I think the effort spent here would lift the game's enjoyment, atmosphere, and above all, agency for the players, as I hope this is a key factor they are including.
I'm going to disagree and agree here. You guys know my thoughts on the whole seamless landing on the planet thing. I don't think it's necessary for an RPG. I think it's more necessary in a space sim survival game where it's part and parcel to your journey and your experience to like land and go to your ship and get off the ship and gassing the ship and making sure you have enough thrusters, making sure you have enough warp fuel and everything else are huge aspects of No Man's Sky that the identity of No Man's Sky sort of orbits around that, no pun intended. So I am going to disagree a little bit with him, but I'm also going to agree. Because I just played No Man's Sky recently, and their update that they did with the frigates and the freighters, and being able to spacewalk and go outside on my freighter and be in space, being able to take off from a planet and just be thrust into outer space and see asteroid fields and other ships and things, I really do think that is such a piece of magic that Hello Games has achieved. It's like if you've ever watched those shows, America's Got Talent, and there's a magician who just really brings not just the magic trick, but the presentation. There was a guy who won the one year. He was an Asian guy with great hair. I forget his name now. And he used M83 soundtrack, and he was really flamboyant with his hands, and it absolutely increased the value of his magic show. And so I do agree with him here. I do. That lack of magic, I do sadly think that is true. I think that is going to be a slight deficit of value in Starfield. Do I think it is paramount and vital? No, I don't think so. It is an RPG. Yeah, Shin Lim, that was his name. I love him. He's so great. Shin Lim was such a talented guy. I think he won. In any case, I don't think you necessarily need that aspect. You don't need it in Mass Effect, and you certainly don't need it in this game either. So we'll probably do one full rewatch of this and come over and just point out more things. If you're just tuning in, we are watching the Starfield performance preview from IGN. This is Reforge Gaming. My name, everybody calls me Lono. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to hit subscribe so you can talk in my chat and join in the conversation. I am a safe for work broadcaster, so lots of people throw me on in the background like a radio show. Do me a favor and click that like button as well. And if you enjoy my content on a regular basis, consider becoming a member or ordering some coffee. That supports the channel directly. We don't run ads during the streams almost at all because we find that to be too disruptive. So we need memberships and coffee to be well in place to keep doing what we're doing. Let's keep watching here.
The general range of planets and locations shown is positive, with more space creatures, fauna-filled and animated planets, dense neon metropolises, in addition to the barren craters, rocky plains, and more we've seen so far. The art and tech team have certainly combined here to improve many aspects of older titles. They use far more post effects and alpha effects to create atmosphere and density. They use light and certainly shadow casting light sources far more often, which improves the solidity and grounding of characters and objects in the world, which you can see quite clearly in this footage. But the other area to discuss is the game's target resolution and frame rate. It clearly targets 4K from the footage shown and a 30 FPS level on Series X. I think they need to offer a dynamic 4K 60, which would go a long way, I think, to help alleviate the well-founded worry of Bethesda games struggling to hit that 30 FPS target.
I 100% agree with that. I really, really want to see the dynamic resolution so that I don't have to sacrifice 60 FPS. I don't want to play a game about space exploration and flying and shooting and be sitting at 30. I don't want that. But I also don't want to completely sacrifice graphical fidelity and beauty just so I can have some frame rate. So we need 30 more likes for 200 likes. If we could get 200 likes really quickly in the first hour of the broadcast, that'd be amazing. There's over 400 people here. It does help out the broadcast when you guys push that button.
Fallout 4 did have some issues when it was launched on Xbox One and PS4 back in 2015. And although the PS4 was worse at the start and later patched, both still remain with some impactful sub-30 FPS sections that did affect your enjoyment. This work-in-progress footage here did highlight some dips below that 30 FPS level at times without a frame graph required, but the release date a good way off and the prior history of Bethesda titles. I have a cautious but optimistic view of the final release.
So you got to track with what he's saying, okay? It's first and foremost, I want to say this. It's not abnormal for games to put out trailers like this and have them running at 30 FPS. That's not abnormal. That's actually quite common. We've noticed that these days. They'll put out a trailer. It'll be at 30. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is. Maybe it's because they anticipate more people wanting to run the 4K 30. Maybe they're anticipating people running it on weaker systems and not being able to hit 60. And yes, according to a couple of the reports I read, this preview at times drops below 30 frames per second. That is worrying. That was one of the things I pointed out at the very beginning when it first debuted. I said, my gosh, even the trailer is having stutters and frame drops, and people thought I was being a little bit too persnickety, but I did notice that when we were watching it. It'll be 60 FPS, but at 1080, probably 540, and up-res, says Wheeze. Yeah, so this preview video did at time drop below 30. You could actually see the frame drops. You want the best-looking screenshots you can get. Yes, that's true.
Overall, what was shown here from Starfield was a great teaser to what could land and be a huge hit for both Bethesda and Xbox come 2023. I really am looking forward to seeing more of the title once it gets closer to launch, and hopefully this will be a big game that draws more people back into space sci-fi, which for me is one of my favourite genres. Anyway, that's it for another tech deep dive into game and previews. If you like this or much more, then keep it IGN and Performance Reviews, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, I'm going to let this loop just because I want to point out some of the things that I didn't get to talk about because he was talking, because I do think this is a good discussion about, you know, comparing this game to Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, okay? First and foremost, I want to make the case that it's totally okay to say that this game is basically Fallout in space. I'm not saying that as a pejorative. I'm not saying that as a slam. I actually think that's a good thing. I think going into this game and sort of knowing what to expect from the gameplay, knowing what to expect from the depth and the RPG elements, I actually think that's a good thing to do. So I don't think there's anything wrong. I for one, am not being negative and critical when I say this is essentially going to be Fallout in space. I actually think that's a very good way of looking at the game, which will likely lead to an improvement in your enjoyment. Now, there is a section here. I don't remember seeing this in the one trailer, This shot in this gun, I swear it's too fast. You almost can't even get a look at it. Yeah, so the clip spits out the side, it looks like. This looks new to me, or at least it's very, very quick. Yeah, I think that's quick from one of the trailers. I think I have seen that before. So I want to say that, right on the outset, that I think it's totally fine to call this thing, Fallout in space. I think there's plenty of elements to the game that are so similar to Fallout. But as you can see here, they go back all the way to Fallout 3 with the Gamebryo engine, and then we have Fallout 4 here with the Creation engine. And then there will be some Fallout 76 in here as well. And this is the Gamebryo engine in Fallout 3. Here's Fallout 4. And then here is Fallout 76. Now, you will notice that I think that's one of the better clips right there, okay? So you can see here, the metal, the sheen, the reflection. It's very flat. It's very matte. It's obviously an older game. And then here you can see it's been upticked quite a bit. There's a layer of sort of water staining and distressed sort of damage, and that shine, that metallic shine and sheen, is still very flat and very sort of matte. And then when you get over to Fallout 76, it's actually been upticked a teeny bit more. It looks better, it looks sharper, it looks crisper. Now, it's important, I think, to see this, because then you can see the uptick to Creation Engine 2 for Starfield gameplay. You're going to notice that the differences are there. You're seeing almost a trajectory of improvement. There's reflections in the glass on his eye. There's reflections on the metal. They're a little bit more, they're a little bit more distinct. That makes the metal feel, better. So I think it's important to do this, because a lot of the times people don't remember that Fallout 3 to Fallout 4 to Fallout 76 saw pretty regular increases and good jumps in graphical fidelity. This is part of why I do think when you look at the difference between this game, and Starfield, some people are saying the differences aren't good enough. I think that's indicative of the fact that we're not going to see as big of jumps from some games and some engines, because number one, the engines themselves are limited. Also, size and scope of the game is going to be a huge aspect, and you have to remember that. So when breaking down this footage, I really am glad that he did this in particular with these three clips. I think this is a very good showing to show. And here we're going to see some hallways that are going to showcase a lot of the similarities between Starfield and Fallout. Jeff Grubb just hinted that EA is making another Marvel game. Tom has heard rumors it's Iron Man, but doesn't have anything solid to report. That's why he hasn't said much. Man, I would love an Iron Man game that was very similar to Anthem's Flying. If you guys are just tuning in and you're enjoying the show, do me a favor, man. Press that like button, press subscribe, join our community here. Maybe become a member or gift some members. We already had some gifted members today. We'd love to hit that new milestone of 2,000 members that we're working on. This here, too, I think just showcases how, if you can remember that face that we just looked at, the graphical detail of the faces has certainly gone up, but the emotion has not. I actually think that's fair to say. It's fair to say that the detail of the skin and the hair and the eye have certainly improved, but there is still that lack of emotion. And so here what he's going to start talking about is, he starts talking about, we've already watched this once, so I'm going to kind of give paraphrase and commentary. In this section, he was sort of talking about their use of sort of environments and fog and lighting and draw distance to create atmosphere, to create a setting. And so he starts kind of comparing. So, we have Fallout 4 here, and then we go back to Fallout 3. You can definitely feel the DNA of Bethesda in these games. And so here you even see a little bit more use of fog out there in the trees and even above the tree line, sort of obscuring the farthest mountaintop from view. And this is again to show just the DNA is still there. Bethesda is still the maker, and the identity of the game and their attempt to create atmosphere and environment is still very much the same. And that's not a problem at all. I actually think that's a very good thing. I don't think we would want them sort of stepping outside of their wheelhouse and their identity. I actually think this is great. This is another great piece of the video that really shows just how far the games have come. So I want to back this one up to get another good comparison here. I think this is really, really great to show how they're rendering and drawing and representing these worlds to create atmosphere. And when you see the changes from Fallout 3 to 4, I wish you'd have done this in a different order, because this is Fallout 3 and the previous was 4 and this is 76. I wish you'd have done them in order. And then when you finally arrive at Starfield, I do think, again, I'm not being a fanboy. I'm not going to like act like this game is going to be amazing. But I do think a lot of people have understated just how far the creation engine has come and just how good they have got at making games look really, really good. Now, that doesn't mean that the performance issues and the performance concerns are not valid, right? Because to me, I actually think those are very valid, given the nature of what we saw in the preview. We saw performance issues in the preview, so they could be biting off a little too much. This again drives concern for the Xbox Series S, given that it is a weaker system. It has less memory. According to developers, it has drastically slower memory than the Series X. And there's a couple of developers, 2 different development teams have spoken out about the challenges of developing for the Series S. And if you look at the level of detail here, so what he's pointing out is their use of fog. There's a more concentrated amount of like steam and fog coming out here, and then way out here, there's more of a surface level rolling fog that is probably static until you get closer. It's just, I don't know if this is dynamic and moving as much as this here seems to be almost moving. Yeah, that stuff in the front is moving. So he's pointing out some of those things, and he's pointing out here that they're creating light prism effects and a hazy depth into the depth buffer. So they're creating this element of, when you're looking at a distance like this, there's almost like a blurriness to it, a haziness to the depth. You'll notice this in photographs and pictures and paintings. Something that is further away gets less distinct and harder to make out. It almost gets kind of blurry. What YouTube vid is this? This is from IGN. It's on their official channel. We will update the description of this video to include the link to the original video. I actually should probably do that now before I forget. We are reacting to the Starfield Performance Preview. That's what this is called. Starfield Performance Preview from IGN. And I'm going to put a link in the description. I'm going to update the description right now. I forgot to do that. IGN video. Okay? It's now in the description. There you go. And let's just continue looking at some of the things he points out here. He actually makes some really, really good observations in this part in particular with respect to lighting and shadows. So when you're inside, he's going to point out how some of these lights are more distinct and sharper. But this, again, is one of the sections where I do think it's very, very important. It's really, really important to notice the similarities here just to set expectations. This right here feels very, very familiar after watching the Starfield footage so much. The internal corridor design, the use of like metallic surfaces and walls and railings, very, very much feels like what we've already seen in the Starfield footage. So that's not a knock. I believe that's just part of Bethesda's DNA and how they make games and how they set up environments. But it's hard not to look at this and see like, oh wow, this is really going to feel like Fallout in some ways. Internal environments especially. Now, that's not to say that you can't have hallways and internal environments that feel similar, but I've played a lot of games where you go inside and they're not always like this. It doesn't have the hallway, corridor, room feel, and that's kind of one of the concerns I have, is that the game will start to feel like everything feels the same, it's just a different coat of paint. Like, well, I'm on this planet now, and it's a lot of hallways and a lot of square rooms, and instead of the walls being like white and metallic, they're pink and furry, but it's the same basic structure to the rooms and the room design. Now, what he's pointing out here is you're going to notice a distinct difference between the shadows. So these shadows inside are very crisp and very straight-lined, and the shadows outside are almost blurry, and some of them even have like a flickering or a dithering effect on them. That is something that can be fixed with time, but the ones inside look significantly better than the ones outside. So here he's pointing out how those shadows are quite a bit blurrier, and if you go outside and you stand in the sun and look at your shadow, it's actually quite sharp, unless of course it's a very cloudy day, and that's when shadows do get a little bit more blurry. So that could be the cause here, but virtually every shadow he points out here on the outside, there is a bit of a fuzziness and a blurriness to them. This is not a deal breaker, by the way. This is just good observation about how they're optimizing performance in the different areas. In these big open areas, you have to lower some of the graphical fidelity and some of the shadow detail, because if not, the game would run very, very poorly. Now he circles this, and this is actually very important, because this is where you're going to see some of the dithering and some of the flickering in that shadow. You can see this is not a deal breaker. This is not me being critical. These are just things to be observant about. Like, oh wow, this is something that maybe they could be optimizing or fixing or polishing. And if not, it's just going to be part and parcel to being in the world, but you can see there some minor flickering and shimmering, a dithering effect. And then here he points out that some of the elements to this whatever this crab creature is, they almost disappear because they suddenly don't have shadows. Like the shadow consistency here is a bit of an issue. Again, none of this is a deal breaker. This is just observations from an expert in his field saying that there are certain elements of the game that are going to be noticeably, not super polished because of what they're attempting to do. They can't have that level of shadow fidelity and shadow accuracy because it would probably drive performance down. So they're going to shave off. This sort of distinctness in the various things. Dithering is to like almost like a white noise effect. Like if you ever look at a TV and it's like dithering, it's like shaking. If you've ever looked at like a print of something and it's like an old printer and it almost has like this white noise, like whenever you see that on a television set, that's what dithering is. So you notice that on those shadows, there was an underlying like square pattern in the shadow, and then there was like a flickering baked into it. So that's what dithering is. It's not just a flickering, it's almost like the presence of white noise inside of the shadow or the texture. So you'll see here as it moves, there's just certain elements that just vanish. And it's just a lack of accuracy and pristineness. Some of the shadows don't even seem to be real time interacting with the creature. And again, that's fine. That's not a huge deal. This is just observations about some things within the engine that might be either limited, poorly optimized, or toned down because of just the nature of how dated the engine is. They have updated it, but it's still there's elements to it that are going to be a bit dated. Optimization polishing hasn't taken effect yet either. It's possible it'll be fixed. Okay, had no idea that was a thing. Yeah, I didn't know either that's what you would call it, but that's what he called it, and so I looked it up. Here he talks about how there's just sort of a general metallic sheen to lots of surfaces. Not that that's bad, but that does sort of give them a pretty easy way to make things look as if there's like a high level of graphical fidelity. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it could start to become like the lens flare in a J.J. Abrams film. It's like, is everything been covered in Crisco and with a spotlight pointed on it? It might start to feel that way if so many surfaces are reflective to this degree, or if they're that consistent. It's good to sometimes just have like flat. So lack of dynamic, what did he say there? What was that? Lack of dynamic reflection. So what he wants you to do is look in front. Yeah, so there's no reflections from the gun. Okay. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Back off my lens flares. I love them. I didn't find the lens flares to be that bothersome in the Star Trek movies. I think people overstate how bad they are or how prevalent they are. I think it becomes a bit of an exaggeration point. Now, I think it's really, really important in this section in particular to just be honest about the fact that the games look very similar. I just want you to watch as soon as he goes into side by side here with his video, okay? I just want you to be observant about the similarities in graphical style, in movement, in room design. No, I'm not saying this is a negative. I'm not saying this is a knock. I'm just saying it is a bit of a concern if the game sort of just feels like Fallout 5, but you decide to call it Starfield, and I have a spaceship. Now, we'll get to the space travel and the space exploration stuff a little bit later. I think he makes great points about how that's one of the more promising aspects of the game, because the shooting and the movement, if you watch this section in particular, the shooting and the movement, I think I was dead on when I said, man, oh man, does it look like Fallout when he's moving through the buildings and shooting. Very, very similar. Obviously, I think this section's a great section to show. There is a very, very clear difference in lighting and texture quality. It has been improved, but my oh my, is it very similar. Especially right here, comparatively. It just, man, they feel similar. Not bad. This is not a knock. Very, very samey. Lot of design style similarities. Isn't the creation engine? That's why it looks samey? Yeah. I'm not saying it is a knock or a negative. I'm just saying that these games are going to look and feel very samey, and a lot of it is attributed to the engine. Yes. They've improved the engine. It's the creation engine 2. But it is going to take, I think, potentially a new engine to get out from underneath of this. So facing your adventure. Okay, so here's where he starts talking about facial animations and facial design. And I think he does a really good job explaining why a lot of people zeroed in on this character in particular. And they said that she just looked kind of dead inside. She looked kind of like a mannequin. She looked kind of like a doll. And he does a very good job explaining it. He talks about how the eyes look sort of glassy and there's no like pupil dilation, and eye movement seems to be sort of minimal. There's lack of facial bones. And I will say that if you go back and watch some of the facial expressions we saw earlier in the footage from one of the other Fallouts, I will say that emotional expression is very lacking still, which is why I think people think, my gosh, it looks like a mannequin, it looks like an animatronic from a fair ride or something, right? Even if you think it's a negative, that's cool. It's your opinion. Don't worry about it if people may not agree. Right, but I just want people to know that I'm not pointing these things out to be negative and to be critical. I just think some of this is just basic observation of what's underneath this game is an engine that's going to feel similar, samey to other games. So I actually was pretty strong in defense of the characters and the character design in a previous video. I had a lot of people saying these characters look like something right out of Fallout. I think that's very, very dishonest. I think the graphical improvements here, the texture of the clothing just in particular. So if you look at all the different things on him, he's got 2 to 3 different textures on his gloves, 2 to 3 different textures on his shoulders, and then there's the hood with multiple different fabrics, and then the shading and the lighting. And then you look at his skin, and then you look at his face. I think anybody who says this looks like something just out of Fallout 4, I genuinely think they're being dishonest. I don't necessarily take what people like that say very seriously, because I think they're just being a hater. They're saying something that they deep down know isn't true. If you do side-by-sides of these characters with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, I think you just end up looking like a foolish I think you just look like a clown. Now, I do think, though, there is merit to the criticism about these characters lacking emotional expression, right? It's almost as if, and here's a great comparison here, we got a Fallout 76 character. Now, this is actually pretty bad. I mean, that's comparatively, I mean, you really want to make your game look good compared to Fallout 4 to now, compared to that character. She looks really bad. He's one of the better looking characters from Fallout 4, actually, so, this is a good comparison. Now, that's a great comparison, because one of the things I've said about the darker skin is you end up getting to see more of the texture from the lighting. So, the shininess on his chin, his lips, his nose, brow, and forehead, you're not going to necessarily get that on someone with lighter complexion. So I think it's very good here that they show this. You can even see it here. It's actually very good because you have a full scope of the shading that they used from this ear to this ear. You can very much see how the darker skin actually aids and helps the game show more detail. But when you compare his darker skin to this guy, it is completely and fundamentally upticked by a significant margin. However, we have to say that yes, the flat, emotionless, almost dead-eyed stare, it's still present, right? You still have this glassy-eyed expression. He looks almost, again, he looks like a cyborg to a certain degree. Glad to be here. Thank you, Train. Guys, if you're enjoying the coverage and the breakdown, do me a favor. Let's try to get 300 likes before the first hour. We have 5 minutes left before we've been streaming for an hour. It would be amazing to hit 300 likes in the first hour. We only need 50 more. There is 442 people here. We definitely have 50 folks that could smash that like button. If you enjoy my content, it helps my content out. You can hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you can talk in my chat and not miss my coverage. I will be out of town next week, but streams will resume on August the 15th. Make sure when I come back on August the 15th that you check your sub feed, because I might not be on your homepage. Sometimes when I take a break, I kind of fall off your homepage. But I'll be streaming the rest of this week. We're just taking next week off. So if you're here and you're enjoying yourself, please do all the things. Hit subscribe, hit like, all the things. Definitely better than Stray. Yeah, that's a fair comparison. Sure, yeah. And I actually think Elden Ring is better than Candy Crush. So if we're just making stupid game comparisons, then I'm going to make that one. I'm going to do a whole series on games that are better than Candy Crush. Very, very clear they've done a lot of work with the facial design. I think they've done very, very good work. But I do think it's fair to zero in. Like, just look at the way this is how I would describe it. I feel like their facial emotions are just behind a little bit, right? They're behind. It's like they come late, right? It's like it doesn't happen when it's supposed to happen. It's almost like they say something and then they're like, oh, that's right, my face needs to emote. I think one of the best games that did facial emotion capture was Days Gone. I think that's one of the best looking games with respect to like facial expressions lining up with the moment, lining up with the dialogue, right? But just watch. She blinks and then she does that. It looks late. It looks like it doesn't happen when it's supposed to. It's almost like, oh, I forgot to blink. Oh, I forgot to do this. It's very strange. Yeah, my face is tired. Yeah, even there, like his eyes get kind of shifty. He's like, he looks over to the side and then he kind of does like that half blink looks mechanical. Watch the half blink. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? The Last of Us 2 facial animations are unmatched. I'd have to look. I think I've seen some clips that I'd agree with you. I think Days Gone is in the same ballpark. Did Days Gone use performance capture? I actually don't know how they did it, but it looks phenomenal. People are killing them over the characters. I think the character creation was a bright spot here. Well, if you listen to what he says in this spot, I'm actually going to let him talk in this section. I think he does a good job here. Let me mute my music and let me just let him talk. I think he does an excellent job at kind of explaining one of the issues.
What they've done here to balance the script and voice recordings within that automated or procedural animation system. The actual character models you create are not as impressive though, with the same issues we've seen in earlier games, namely eye parallax, blinking, pupils and emotion all looking very flat and effectively not convincing you they're humans at all. Made worse by limited facial bones, low hair cards and general vertex shifted feature set to choose from. That said, you will likely not see yourself a great deal in the game, so it may not be that impactful, but it is far from the best avatar creator we have seen.
So I think he just breaks it down there. It's like, it's just, everything's kind of flat. It's not bad. I don't think he's saying that it's bad. I'm not even saying that it's bad. I'm not. there's just something about it that seems flat. Their blinking seems very mechanical. It seems very inorganic. Their facial movements all seem to be, again, like mechanical and flat. There's something inorganic about it. So, who is the guy talking? Is he a developer? He sounds pompous. Okay. He's an expert in his field. You sound stupid, so... I swear, some of you guys are so sensitive. My gosh. This guy's an expert in his field, breaking down the different technological terms and things that we see in the game. He sounds pompous. Yeah, he sounds educated. You don't. And this is another spot in the game that I think he does a very, very good job. Like, it doesn't feel, what he talks about here is how everything feels like it's not really reacting to you. Number one, you have a really inaccurate gun, but again, the structures and the surfaces, nothing's really reacting to the gun. Even the enemies kind of don't react. Do you know what I do for a living? Say dumb stuff in my chat, maybe. I don't know. Don't presume. It's hard not to when you say dumb things like that. Make it kind of easy. They aren't always on point with graphics, but basing games purely off of visuals, in my opinion, I'm more focused on gameplay. Oh, I am too, and I think that's why it's important to look here at this section of gunplay. I think the gunplay feels very flat. The guy was making opinions as fact. No, he's not. He's not making opinions as fact. That's dumb to me. Again, man, you sound real dumb. He's literally breaking down the technological things that they are doing. He talked about the differences in shadows. He explained why they might be dithering and flickering outside as opposed to inside. He described the way that they were going to get some of the ways of getting resolution and some of the ways that the shadows were interacting with enemies on the outside. He's not stating his opinions as fact. He's observing and he's explaining to you what's happening at a technological level. Like, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. There's no other way to say it. Like, you just sound dumb if you're going to watch a video like this where he gives you a technological breakdown of everything in the video, and you're like, he's just stating his opinions as fact. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's an expert in his field explaining to you what's on the screen. By tone, that's what it seems, but that's okay. I'm pretty realistic with my expectations. I do hope the delay Bethesda will refine the game and the NPC facial expressions to be more fluid. I don't think they're working on facial expressions to be more fluid. I think they're getting the game to run on the Series S. I think they have optimization issues, as observed in this video. This video drops below 30 frames per second at time. That's concerning, because more than likely a lot of these areas are vertical slices that are meant to run very well, and they're not. So that would be a concern for the weakest platform that this game is going to run on is the Series S. And if their vertical slice is having a hard time, bro, that's going to be rough. Yeah, Stray is a timed exclusive as far as I know. But again, in this section, if we're going to say gameplay is the most important thing, I 100% agree with you, and I think the gameplay looks really flat when shooting. I think the space exploration and the space battles look incredible. We're going to get to a spot where I actually think there's going to be one of the best points that he makes about your ship and about space exploration. We know he's biased towards Sony, expecting a game of this scale to look like Horizon Forbidden West. Where's the analysis of Elden Ring facial expressions? It's just, I really think it's funny when someone wants to take a swipe like that. Why don't you just admit you either don't watch my content or you're just a dishonest prick? I literally have spent numerous streams defending Starfield. Go watch those streams. I'm literally just making observations. I sat for an entire stream and defended the character design in Starfield. I am simply admitting that yes, there are elements of the facial designs that look flat, glassy-eyed, and mannequin-like. I mean the reviewer, not you? Wait, why do we know the reviewer has a Sony bias? How do you know that about him? Amos, I thought you were saying that about me. People say that about me all the time. How do you know the guy in this video has a Sony bias? What are you basing that off of? Where's the evidence that he has a Sony bias? Is it in this video or is it in other places or something? The facial expressions in Candy Crush are awful. He's not. Where's the analysis of Elden Ring facial expressions? Been watching his videos for a long time. He does reviews. Okay, I'm going to take up your criticism, Amos, and show you why you're totally misfiring on this guy. Where's the facial expression analysis for Elden Ring? Elden Ring is not an RPG where you literally stand face to face with people and have conversations. Fallout is literally a game built on the idea of, like, you're going to walk up to people and have a face-to-face conversation. What are you talking about? Of course he's not going to do an analysis and a breakdown of facial expressions and animations in Elden Ring. That's not one of the focal points of the game. There aren't dialogue trees in that game. You're not having interactions with people where you're meant to, like, establish a relationship and a rapport with them. Like, the funny thing is like, you're acting as if he has a bias and you're invoking a bias to prove it. You're like, oh, he should be doing this to other games. Why? Why would he do that? This is a center point of Starfield. It stands to reason that when a trailer does this and goes full screen facial animation, it stands to reason that we should break it down and talk about how good it is. Is it quality? Does it look impressive? They must think it's impressive. It's a major point of their preview. Like, literally, when Bethesda put this together, they said, we want front and center faces and characters, very big, very visible. Why? They think it's good looking, and I actually think it is pretty good looking. He's been pretty fair and unbiased. Yeah, he's merely observing how they achieve, and I think he's right. I do. I think there's an element of almost like a mannequin cyborg feel to the characters. It's not that big of a deal, but clearly they think this is a focal point. They put it in the frickin' video. He didn't pick this apart from leaked footage that's of a pre-alpha. He's literally picking apart a showcase from the developers themselves. Don't question the man's integrity and honesty. He's combing over what Bethesda is apparently saying. Look at the focal point of the game. Look at the head shape, skin tone, hair, eye, hair color. Look at all the things you can do with your character. They're saying that this is a huge aspect, and he says, okay, well, let me break down what it looks like. I don't appreciate the idea that a man's integrity would be called into question when he's literally breaking down what the developers themselves are putting out there and saying, look how great this is. Like, I actually think and have spent a lot of time defending the character design in this. I think it's very, very good. That doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it doesn't mean it's without flaw, which is exactly what he said. He essentially highlighted all the new things and all the better things, and then he said, but it's not without flaws, basically. There's still that glassy-eyed, scripted blinks. Now, Zubair asked a little bit ago, are they lacking in micro-expression? I actually think that is one of the elements of the facial design and the facial animations in this game that makes it feel a little bit animatronic. They seem like animatronic because they don't do anything that feels candid. Nothing's candid. Everything feels pre-scripted. The way that they blink, the way that their head tilts, the way that their faces emote. Just give your character sunglasses. That's right. Yo, Vengeance gifting 5 members to the community. That is so kind. You can explain to people to the bone about what you're talking about and have facts, and they still disagree. Yo, Vodou, 101 Red Baboons, Mythroar, Hogwarts Legacy, and Alien Brain. You guys all got gifted a membership. Make sure you get in our Discord if you are a member or recently got gifted a membership. Thank you. And make sure say thanks to Vengeance in chat for doing that. Guys, jump on the member gifting train if you want. Let's keep gifting members and get more people in our community. Let's also just keep smashing the like button and the subscribe button. We only need 10 more likes for 300 likes. We almost got 300 likes in the first hour of the show. We like to get gifted members and super chats about every hour because YouTube wants us running ads every hour, and I don't think that's a good idea. Your order has been shipped. Perfect. Great. Track your shipment. I wish it was going to arrive a lot faster. Whatever. Bethesda has a record of producing great, albeit buggy games, minus one disaster release. The amount of time they are putting into Starfield gives me high confidence in this game. You impugn the previewer's honor, good sir. I just don't like that. People do it to me all the time, and I don't like it. Milestone. Yo, Luis Castillo coming in with a 5-month milestone. Thanks for renewing. Also, Reforge Roast Coffee is the best coffee on the whole planet. Yeah, if you guys haven't tried out our coffee, you're watching Reforge Gaming right now. Check out Reforge Roast Coffee if you're a coffee drinker. Why did Days Gone get so much hate? Days Gone struggled when it came out. It had a lot of performance issues, a lot of performance bugs and problems. After playing games like Days Gone, you would expect better from a new AAA game. Eugene says, right, it feels behind other games at this level. I'm telling you, I said it early, it's the engine. I think it's the engine. I like Days Gone, it was much better on PC. The Days Gone port is an amazing port. Hey, Fat Steven Seagal, raiding the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. If you guys are coming in from the redirect, Justice Fats Seagal, thank you so much for coming over, and thank you for doing that. I appreciate that so much. Guys, be sure to click on Justice Fat Seagal's name. Check out his content. He's a good dude, and we appreciate the support. Days Gone and Starfield are completely different games, though. Days Gone and Starfield are completely different games, though. Well, yes and no, Ghost. At one level, you're right. We don't want to make mistakes and compare this game to Days Gone. Hang on, I want to go back because this is a really important section. I agree. We don't want to make the mistake of comparing this game to Days Gone. However, if we're comparing facial expressions and facial emotions, I think it's fair to say who's doing the best job. Right? Blip? I certainly hope not. We just got raided. Yo, what's good, Daryl the Derelict? Thanks for coming over with the fat raid. At one level, I think it's totally fair to say, hey, yeah, we had a blip. We just jumped in view count quite a bit because everybody's probably refreshing. That was not me, chat. That was something that I guess YouTube is doing. So I do think it's fair to be like, hey, Days Gone did a great job with facial expression and facial emotions. It seems like Starfield is a little bit behind in that regard. And I don't think we fault the developers. I think, as I said a little bit ago, this engine, the ceiling of this engine, I think we're bucking up against it. They've made the skin texture and their clothing significantly better. But the facial animations and the movement are largely the same. Right? They're largely the same. I think those are the fair things to state. I don't think we're being persnickety or pedantic or like picking apart the game with a fine-tooth comb. It's a game where, according to the developers themselves and the marketing that they've put out, we're supposed to be caring about these things. We're supposed to be paying attention to these things, right? That's how I see it. That's how I see it. That blip is where YouTube will put an ad later. You think so? This guy is a dense idiot. Really? Wow, no one saw your comment, though, and no one ever will see you on my channel. A very gorgeous old game. Yeah, looks very, very pretty. All right, let's get to the most important part of the video, right? Let's get to the most important part of the video. I was 40 minutes behind, so the first time I tried the 1x5 replay, this doesn't work for your cadence of speech. I'll just rewatch that portion. Okay. So this is what I think is the most important part of the video. And what the guy says, we are looking at a Starfield performance preview where they're breaking down all the Starfield gameplay, talking about the noticeable differences between Creation Engine and Creation Engine 2, and just all the great things we're going to have to look forward to, as well as some of the things that look like they might be performing a little bit poorly or not optimized just yet, okay? So becoming one of the elite. So in this section of the video, I think he makes a fantastic point. I do. He talks about how, as a fan of Star Trek, the sense of exploration and having a ship that's expanding and growing and that you're investing in and getting into organic or dynamic fights. Like this spot right here. When I saw this, I got like a little bit of an excitement tingle, okay? I've been watching Star Trek The Next Generation with my wife, and something I felt the other day was, oh wow, I would really, really enjoy that aspect of Starfield if it can give me that sense and that feeling of exploration and my ship being almost like a home away from home and the ship growing with me, right? And so when I see this here, and then I see in a couple of clips, we'll see more computers, more equipment. Just that cockpit walk-up is great. Like this right here. This reminds me of the Quinjets from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they would be in, right? They'd have all the equipment, they'd have all the stuff, all the computers, all the staff. This is when I get really excited. I could probably overlook, canned, flat, not super impressive gunplay and be like, that's fine. The guns are guns. If you improve the guns and you invest in this element of the RPG and there's a lot of gun modification and gun crafting. If I do all that, I can make guns that feel really good and have a good sense to them, good accuracy, good handling. It just feels good to hold certain guns, right? You know how that is in a good shooter. But if I can have this experience here, this Star Trek, I'm in a ship and I'm investing in it and the crew to a greater degree than we felt, not a greater degree, in a more personal way than I feel when I play Mass Effect. Mass Effect is good, one of the greatest, but it doesn't feel as personal as this might feel. As I'm expanding and getting new crew members, new equipment, and doing this here, customizing the ship at every level, making it bigger and cooler in compartments. Now, I don't know if the physicality, it looks here like the physicality of the ship can be changed. Like these doors will be doors that I can go through. Now, that's really, really cool. That's really going to be like the freighter customization that we're getting right now in No Man's Sky. It's going to feel very similar to that, but that's going to be, I think, very, very awesome to feel that sense of investment of when it gets this large, I've got more places to go and more things to see. I think I'm really going to want to live in my ship. Now, sadly, I think this kind of works against one of their decisions to not let you, land on the planet and take off from the planet. I think that sense is going to, maybe disrupt that a little bit. Star Trek style RPG is all I want from the game. What's good, Lulu? Yeah, I agree. Creature says, I think if it's true they were developing this game originally to be PlayStation timed exclusive and having no knowledge of the limitations of the Series S, maybe they do actually deserve some slack. It could be easy to turn the dev plan. It can't be easy to turn the dev plan on a dime. Yeah. I think they're running into problems that they couldn't necessarily foresee. I wonder if when it looks like this, can I go into all those different compartments and departments on the actual ship? Or is it just going to be that main drag, that main center chassis, that column? Like, am I only going to be mainly in there? You know what I mean? Bethesda is behind the curve on individual aspects, but the total of their games adds up because they do more than other games even try. Somebody said something about the 1,000 planets. I want to see what they said. But tell me games of this scale that do facial expressions better. They barely any games that have 1,000 planets. Well, hang on a minute. Hang on. The scale of the game doesn't limit their ability to design good characters. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. When you're out in large areas, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of scale impacting fidelity. I think you're conflating categories. So when I go into a large open area, scale of that area, as was already displayed in this video, will affect fidelity with lighting, texture, detail, shadows, etc. because it all has to be rendered and drawn at the same time. Now, it is true that when I'm in town, there's people walking around when you go to the cities and stuff. And it may be true that the scale of those areas limited what they could do with the character design. However, the scale of the game is not a limitation on character design, detail, and fidelity. It also has nothing to do with the bone structure, the way their eyes look, the way their faces move. Those things are not related. If you can show me proof of this, then yes. Until then, I have yet to see a quality of animations and game scale get tangled. Yeah, I don't feel like those things are in the same category. I feel you're lumping them in as like an excuse. Well, the game's massive. Okay. Days Gone is a gigantic, huge open world game, and the facial animations are incredible. Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a gigantic, massive game, to the point that the leak about GTA 6 map size is pointing to it being roughly the size of Red Dead Redemption 2, and people are super excited about that. Look at the facial design and expressions in Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, this game being big and having lots of planets is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for having... And keep in mind, I'm not saying the facial animations are that bad. I'm actually one of the people that defended the character design and the facial animations in this game. I'm one of the people that defended them. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't think you get to excuse them looking like animatronic, mannequins by being like, well, the game's really big. I don't think those two things are related. The problem with the characters is they haven't really improved over previous iterations except for resolution. I think that's an understatement. I don't think it's just resolution, Eugene. I think the individual pieces of their clothing, the skin texture, that's not just resolution. That's not just resolution. Did a new video drop? IGN released a Starfield performance preview, and he combs over the whole video talking about what he's noticing as differences between Creation Engine in Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 and Creation Engine 2 in this game. And this is one of the better parts of the video, where he talks about the space battle, space exploration, and the spaceship investment being one of the parts of the game that he's heavily excited about, because it does give that feeling of like, hey, I can sort of have a Star Trek experience. And I really resonated with this part of the video because I, for one, when I first watched their preview, I thought the space portion of the video was the best part. I thought it was the best part. That's texture and resolution. Yeah, but texture detail is a lot more nuanced than just resolution. You know what I'm saying? They didn't just uptick the resolution. They went in and handcrafted better textures. I think we need to give them credit for that, not just say, oh, they increased the resolution. That's just really reductionist to be like, to compare these characters to Fallout 4 and be like, well, they just raised the resolution. What? No. They handcrafted much better, clothing and the metallic shine and their skin and even their eyes and hair do look better. I don't think they necessarily just raise resolution. Yeah, you could say they made the characters look better, but they're not emoting any better. They don't feel more alive. They look more detailed, right? Yo, what's good, AV of SoCal? It has been a hot minute. I hope you're well. I just hope they fix the overly high... I hope they fix the overly high eye reflections. It makes them look cross-eyed. They don't move better. Their animations aren't better. Right. I love that we can be a part of the bad guys, the Crimson Fleet. I want to cause havoc in my personal opinion because Neon looks cooler than the new Atlantis. Now, right here, he draws a comparison between No Man's Sky being able to take off from a planet, shoot up right out of the stratosphere and into outer space. And this is where I both agree and disagree with him. So I made this point earlier, but if you're new and you've not been here before, I absolutely love No Man's Sky, and I think the comparisons between this and No Man's Sky have been a little bit overstated by people who want to just kind of run with the negative narrative. I also thought it was funny that in the first 24 hours it was called Ugly No Man's Sky and No Man's Sky 2.0, and then when people found out it was missing features from No Man's Sky, it was suddenly a problem. So first it was a problem that it was too much like No Man's Sky, and then when you found out it was more of a space RPG and didn't have some of the features of No Man's Sky, then it was a serious problem. I thought it was pretty funny that in 24 hours we managed to completely change the narrative, and yet it was still a negative one. I thought that was funny. Anyways, I both agree and disagree on the whole taking off and landing on planets thing. I don't think it's paramount. I don't think it's vital or important because this is more of a space RPG, more akin to a Mass Effect, where individual landing on a planet and taking off, I do not think is a fundamental need. But I do think, after playing No Man's Sky again recently, I've been playing it a bunch ever since it first came out. I've been one of the more ardent defenders of that game and Hello Games. I've been one of the bigger fans and one of the... I'm in their corner. I've always been in Sean Murray and Hello Games' corner. I feel like they got a raw deal, and a lot of what was stated and happened was misrepresented by the gaming, industry and public, which is not surprising at all. But I do think he's right. There is something magical about landing on a planet in No Man's Sky and taking off. They just recently gave you the ability to basically spacewalk on your freighter, which is absolutely incredible. It's a truly... It's an experience you have to feel. You really do. I really encourage people to get No Man's Sky and experience just the spacewalk, right? You can't experience that in any other game right now. And so I think that magic being missing from the game, I do think it's a deficit. I don't think it's a destructive deficit. It's not like the core of the game isn't going to still be great and enjoyable and a good time. I don't think it is a removal or a harm of the game's identity. You've got a crush on No Man's Sky? Yeah, always. We're talking about Starfield. It's going to flop. What are you basing that off of? You can spacewalk in No Man's Sky. They just added it. Yes, Hex. So when you're on your freighter now, you can literally walk out into space and just walk around outside. Like, there's a big flat open space. You can create skywalk hallways with glass. You can create a sky dome to like look out, or you can just actually just freaking walk outside. It's really, really dope. It's truly an experience that I think people should feel. It kind of recaptures the magic of gaming and video games and what games are supposed to be about. It is. It's a great experience. We don't know if the game's released. How can you make judgments so early? Are you speaking to me? Or the guy saying it's going to flop? I actually think this game's going to be quite successful. I do. I don't think it's going to be an existential experience that some people were maybe hoping for. I don't think it's going to be like a generation-defining game, but I do think it's going to be a memorable and good RPG. I think this will go down in history as being better than Fallout 4. Fallout 4 did very well and was praised and loved, but it had its problems, of course. It had glitches and bugs. I think Starfield's going to fare better than Fallout 4 did. I do. Fallout 4 did okay, and I think this game's going to do well. I don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to have like an Elden Ring effect on the industry. I don't think it's going to be like God of War Ragnarok, but I definitely think this game is going to be very good. I bet you it wins a couple of awards. I bet you it lands in the 80% on scores from users and review outlets. I bet this is a commonly given an 8 out of 10 score. That's my prediction. How can you do performance when it's not out yet? It's IGN. They need clicks so well. Again, you're just being completely dishonest. I'm kind of losing my patience with people that are just dishonest. Like, you're just lying. Like, you're misrepresenting the video. The video is called a performance preview. And what he's doing is he's looking at the rendering, as it says right here, rendering improvements and the way the game performs. And he's doing direct comparisons to textures, lighting, shadows, draw distance, all these things from their other games to basically say, okay, we can see performance differences between these two games. Like, seriously, shut the frick up with the dishonest nonsense. Like, take your fanboyism and untwist your panties and accept the fact that you can 100% watch a video like this as an industry expert and analyze. It's a very intellectual video. It's a very thoughtful video. Like, you gotta untwist, man. You guys get so worried that, like, he's not even negative in the video. I would actually say that 75% of this video is quite positive. It's a good... He's giving people a reason to be confident in Starfield. It's actually a good video. I don't get why people have to just run to dishonesty. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If outlets that did performance content had to wait for the game to come out, Digital Foundry would be out of a business. That's what I'm saying. This video actually puts Starfield into a very good light, in my opinion. It makes the game look very promising. It's not a negative video at all. I just said I didn't watch it. Why are you getting so mad? I'm just an idiot commenter on YouTube. Well, at least you know it. It's because you're saying things just to say them. It's irritating. Like, the irony of saying, how can you do a performance video when the game isn't out yet? How can you judge a video if you haven't watched it yet? The just drenched in irony hypocrisy is just unbelievable sometimes. Golly. You haven't watched the video. Unbelievable. We slowly watched this at the beginning of the stream and broke down all of his commentary. And you're drawing conclusions about a video you haven't watched. I don't like IGN. I have my preferences. Okay. Fine. He's actually very gracious by saying that things he points out as issues could be fixed by launch. That's what I mean. Like, I don't get it. It's like he's so gracious in the video. It's just, I don't know. Listen, I'm not a fan of IGN either. You know what I'm saying? Listen to me. I am not a fan of IGN either. They write puff pieces for companies with misconduct to help cover it up. They literally, their hands are dirty, okay? There's massive rampant misconduct in the industry. We're hearing even more things coming out, like Ubisoft hasn't fixed their issues. We had the Blizzard Activision situation. I don't like IGN any more than the next person. They literally will write a puff piece for a company to help them cover up misconduct. Absolutely. I'm not a fan of them. That doesn't mean that this video is bad. Getting mad at someone talking crap about you talking crap about something you're ignorant about. Rule of the internet, as soon as you voice concerns about a game, you're bashing it. So there's no new footage in the video, by the way. So those of you just tuning in, this is a Starfield performance preview that was put together by IGN. It's actually a very good video. And it's taken a look at the differences between from Fallout 3 all the way to now, and just how through that observation being able to say Creation Engine 2 has brought significant elements forward, and I think the game looks very good. While still there, I think there's still just whispers and elements of the Creation Engine ceiling in this video. So that doesn't make everyone at IGN inherently bad either. Right, I don't want to poison the well and be like, well, IGN can't create any good videos or movies because they had a puff piece dishonest blog that they wrote. I wasn't paying attention, but your conversation is dumb. That's pretty good. Lethal Lady says, by making comments like that without watching the video, it just proves you are poking the bear to sound relevant. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention, but I've come to the conclusion that you're a dumb poopy. I think they showed us warts and all on purpose. So when it actually comes out, we can say, look how much better it is, mind blown. You know what's funny, Tater? I said something similar to that. I said, what if this is like the new 900 IQ play by companies? Show us something that's rough so everyone criticizes it, and then you're like, great, now we know what to fix. Like, what if that's what's going on? I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm just entertaining the notion that game companies could be putting out video and gameplay that they know has rough edges, and they want the public to scrape against those rough edges and help smooth them out. Do you know what I mean? I just wonder. I desperately hope so. Do we know if the things shown in this video are in-game real-time gameplay or post-process animations and scripted shots? I would be willing to guess, Raz, that none of this is fully rendered. This is accurate gameplay because there's pop-in and there's frame drops. I don't think a fully rendered video would do that. Godson777 says, that doesn't make any sense. First impressions are everything. Yeah, but is it like the ugly Sonic thing? Like, is that the thing now, right? You're right. First impressions are everything, but think about it, Godson. Let's imagine that a guy comes into your office and he says, hey, are you guys hiring? And he's sort of ruddy and dressed poorly, and his hair's a mess, and he's not clean. He's not shaved. He's all scraggly looking, right? And you're like, yeah. And he leaves a first impression on you. You're like, yikes, I don't know if we would even hire that guy, let alone interview him. He looks terrible. He looks like a bum, okay? So he takes an application and he leaves, and he comes back a day or two later. He comes back a week later, and he's clean shaven, and he's got better clothes on. He smells nice. Wouldn't that at some level work in his favor? I'm not saying that that's one-to-one analogous to what we're seeing here, like, oh, this is such a bad preview that they're going to come out looking like roses when the game finally comes out, right? I'm just saying, I do think there's an element of, like, when like you watch a trailer and you're like, holy moly, that was really rough. And then if they improve the game and then it comes out, we're like, oh man, all that stuff's gone, that could work in its favor. I'm not saying that it will. I'm not saying that it will. Gamers are very, very quick to come to conclusions and be very dismissive at times. If you don't look good out of the gate, you're already lost your potential audience. We've had this conversation before about Sonic Frontiers, right? Why'd they release all that gameplay? It looks so bad and so mediocre. Why would they do that? You know what I mean? This is the plot of Pursuit of Happiness. But we've discussed this. Look at the trailers for She-Hulk. Yeah, we've talked about this with She-Hulk. We've talked about this with Sonic Frontiers. Why would you release this? Why do you think this looks good enough to show? Why would you do that? Now, I don't think Sonic Frontiers, how bad I think it looks, how not polished and kind of rough around the edges it looks. I don't think that Starfield looks that bad. I think Starfield has rough edges. I think Sonic Frontiers looks like a flat tire. I don't know. I think it looks worse. Worse to better over better to worse. Look at what Ubi does, showing games and downgrading them over time. Right, look at what happens with Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights has slowly looked worse and worse and worse, and look at what it's doing to the press about that game. Look at what it's doing to consumer confidence. If your theory is true, it's been almost 2 months since this reveal. When would you put out fixed content as a company to build up hype before launch? Maybe when they really start pushing pre-orders. Are they pushing pre-orders pretty hard right now? I don't know if they are or not. I haven't been paying attention to that aspect of it. Gotham Knights did that backwards, looks good on trailers, but trash gameplay. But Sonic is the first open zone type game, though. It doesn't mean that the gameplay looks good. It looks slow and boring. They released gameplay footage of Sonic that looks slow and boring. It's literally a Sonic game. Like, gotta go fast memes. Like, what the frick are y'all doing? Like, how's that happen? I'm getting tired of Star Citizen suck-ups criticizing the game. Bethesda's not trying to make a rip of Star Citizen. Star Citizen's a combat mining game. Starfield's a space RPG. Yeah, I'm not too I don't really mention Star Citizen much because I don't know enough about it. Oh, you were joking, Doom. What's the name of the song? You can always type !song in the chat and it should work. Never Ending Highway by Stream Tunes. Xbox games face a crazy amount of scrutiny. They do? Are you saying that about me? Because I did the thing I'm doing right now, I did with Sonic Frontiers. Is Sonic Frontiers an Xbox game? I did this same thing with Skull and Bones. Is Skull and Bones an Xbox game? Have you ever been in one of my streams before? Have you ever been to one of my gameplay breakdowns? You think, are you asserting that only myself and other people in the industry, we only do this with Xbox games? Do some videos on Star Citizen. The hardcore will come to the channel for a challenge. I did a video on Star Citizen. It went okay. I feel like I'm too far behind to get into that game, though. Honestly, if they want the Sonic game to work, they gotta have a reason for Sonic to go slow. Maybe his speed was stolen, but no, they just threw him in a world to have random obstacles. Ansu Fatigue says just in general. Okay. I mean, if you think that, I'll try and be an oasis for you on YouTube. I definitely don't do that. I don't. It's a joke. It's a meme. People call me Loney, because I'm such a Sony fanboy. I will not do that. You're not going to tune in here and have me being like overly scrutinizing Xbox games and acting like PlayStation games are flawless. Homie, I am very critical of one of Sony's biggest titles getting Game of the Year. Like, we've had pretty consistent knockdown, drag out fights about it. Like, I don't do that. I don't, and haven't done that. My gameplay breakdowns are based off of, do you want to know the honest to goodness truth? They're based off relevancy. It's not based off of like, is it Xbox? Oh, can't wait to bash it. No, is it relevant? That's always the question that we're asking. Skull and Bones was hyper relevant because they released all that info, and Game Informer did an article. I literally paid money so I could give you guys new gameplay details about Skull and Bones. I paid money so I could get access to the Game Informer digital article. Like, I'm going to do anything I can. If I feel like the game is relevant and I'm passionate about it, I'm going to break it down with y'all. Are you going to be looking forward to playing Wolverine when it comes out? Oh, you better freaking believe it. Holy moly. I've always loved Wolverine. This is actually the perfect time for Star Citizen. The game's having a huge a surge of new players, and they just released one of their best patches yet. I just don't know. Every time I look at it, I feel like I'm going to get swallowed by that game and have no ability to speak with authority about it. I love space games in general, and I play Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. There will always be comparisons, but all three are trying to do something different in the space setting. I agree, Mac. I've really tried to drive that home with people. I'm like, listen, the No Man's Sky comparisons, cool, I get it. No Man's Sky is a space exploration survival game, so it's going to be vastly different than this game. What ship do you want to build? Or if they have a fleet system, they have different ships and different jobs. I hope they're not stuck with one ship. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be like a fleet system for different ships. Have they addressed that, chat? I forget if they've addressed that. I wouldn't mind either building the Millennium Falcon or try to build the Starship Enterprise. One of the two. My biggest problem with Star Citizens, I'd have to play it on PC as well. I hate trying to play PC games. They always have performance problems. Yeah, if you guys, somebody was asking about the Quarry. If you become a member here, you can go to the members only playlist. My wife and I played the entire game together. It was hysterical. It's members only. It's a three-part series. There's 3 different streams of us playing through the Quarry. It's fantastic. It's such a fun trip. If you're not a member, you can become a member for $5 a month. Would you be interested in covering Baldur's Gate 3 after full release? Been playing it recently and it's really amazing so far. It's possible. I don't know. Guys, keep in mind too, the more faithful as well as maybe the more new viewers of my content, I'm streaming for the rest of this week, but then I will be out of town next week, August 8th through the 12th. Streams will resume on August 15th. Keep in mind that 15th is a Monday, and I might not be on your homepage. You might have to go to my channel or go to your subscription feed to find me. But I will be live on the 15th. Normal streams will resume then. I'm also streaming the rest of this week. The Quarry streams were amazing. I used to tell all the new members to go watch it. I should do that again. Yeah, we should do it. We should actually have a specific playlist link for that. We should. We should have a specific playlist just for that and link people to it. To be like, listen, man, you got to watch The Quarry. You do. You have to. Yeah, here they are. Let me edit the first one. Let me edit the first one to be part 1 in the title. Wait. Did I? Oh, frick. I didn't look. Did I was it capitalized? Yeah, it's capitalized. Let's unify the naming. This you guys are going to like part 1 save. All right, then go back and then grab all 3, and then add to a playlist, new playlist. The Quarry, create. There we go. Save. Cool. We did it. And then there we go. No. I need part 1. But if I share and copy this, is it gonna bring up the playlist? No. I can never figure out how to get the good link to the actual place. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Share, copy, sort, added oldest. No, sort, published oldest. There you go. Copy. Here we go. Add the Quarry. Members can watch the 3-part playthrough of the Quarry with Lono and his wife. There you go. Adcom the Quarry. That'll take you to it. Gotta admit, I found this channel with you talking about Game Pass, I think, and being more pro publisher, and I didn't like a few takes I heard, but I've come around. I like it here. Nelson, I appreciate you saying that, man. I really, really do. I appreciate that. I hope you guys are having a good time today. I have had a good time today. We've had 2 great streams. We've had 2 really, really good time. 2 really, really good streams. We were going to do a 3rd stream today. I was going to check out the rogue mode. I was going to check out the rogue mode in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I was going to have to grind a bunch. I tried last night to grind and get ready, and it was going to take too long. It got to like midnight, and I was like, I got to go to bed. And so sadly, we won't be able to showcase that today. But what we do at the end of every day is we do a members-only stream where you just get to kind of hang out. Didn't make it. I did 4 raids, Creature, and it didn't even make a dent. I did 4 raids in Valhalla, and it didn't even make a dent. It was I got to like 2. I didn't even get to 2.5. I got to 2 and a little bit past it. You hurt my feelings with what you said about Gotham Knights. Sorry. But right now, if you're in chat and your name is gray or your name doesn't have a joystick next to it, that means you're not a member. And we are about to go into a members-only environment where you just get to kind of hang out with me. It's off script. It's laid back. It's a good time. And I like to kind of call on people to gift members to bring a bunch of people with us. So if you guys like gifting members and you've been kind of holding out, or you've been kind of waiting for a good moment, now's a great time to gift members. We can bring a bunch of these people with us. They're here. They've been faithful. They've been debating. They've been discussing. We've had a really, really good time. I love when I see gray names this late in the day get pulled in to they get pulled into a members only stream. I love that. I think that's really, really dope. So I'm gonna get ready and schedule it and give you guys a few minutes to do that. It is just an opportunity for us to kind of hang out and talk. There we go. Fonzo and Mac are doing it. Let's bring some people with us. I love this energy. I love this vibe. Let's bring some of these people with us into members only. If you get a membership right now, you're going to be able to come with us into the members only content. So click allow gifts in the chat so you get one, okay? Max are all gone. There we go. They're all going. Michael, Dave Man, Razor, Charlie, Laughs, Tiny, Telemedo, Tidatori, Pilksuk, Eric, Chabdra, Jake, Deja Vu. You guys all got gifted members. 10 folks, brand new, gonna get to come with us and enjoy members only content. Thank you so much for that. Yo, Lethal Lady's gonna gift 5 and bring some people with us. I absolutely love this. We're taking folks with us. Tater was here and engaging in the conversation, just got one. King Jadora just got one. I love that. King Jadora was a part of the conversation and talking. Def Jamma, Crowned One, and Reese. You guys all get to come in to the members only content. I freaking love this vibe. I love this energy. I hope more people get some. You know what? I tell you what, I'm gonna do some myself. I love doing this. When you guys do it, I feel like I need to do it. Let's grab some more people. Let's bring some more folks with us. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going to grab 5 folks myself. I'm going to grab 5 folks right now. Let's grab some folks. If you get a membership, be sure to get in the Discord. Be sure to get into the Discord. The Discord's one of the best ways to not miss out on members-only content. Our Discord server has increased perks and access for you as a member. There we go. I'm going to do 5 more. Let's get some more people in here. I was really hoping Godson would get one because he was back and forth today in chat, being positive and awesome and great discussion points. Godson777 got one. Jaeger, Grant Schaefer, Nelson was engaging in the chat, and Nelson just said he really likes it here after being here for a little bit. I absolutely love seeing that. Marcus Alexander got one. You guys get to come with us. I'm scheduling the members-only stream right now. Oh, I would love to see Lulu. Oh, gifted subs don't work on Molo. Yeah, you got to get into a browser and click Allow Gifts, Lulu. Try to get into a browser and click it. I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes. If anybody else wants to gift, let's grab some of these people and bring them with us. There's still a ton of people hanging out. Can we hit 400 likes as well? If there's 70 people who haven't hit the like button, we might be able to get a crazy like ratio on this video and hit 400 likes. Can you gift memberships on the phone? You might be able to. You can click that $sign and then click gift memberships. Marcus says, thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. Listen, if you're here at this point in the day and you're not a member, we want to make you a member. We want to do that. Our community loves bringing new people into the fold. You've been hanging out. You've been listening. You've been lurking. You've been supporting the channel. That's faithfulness. That's loyalty. We want to reward that if we can. So Lord Bacon the Destroyer says, hold up. Okay, I'll wait. Lord Bacon the Destroyer likes to drop big bombs. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. You might get one. I think it's because so many games like Star Citizen and No Man's Sky have done a lot with the long years they've been out. The issue, if the game it underperforms or has a lack of content, it may flop. Daniel, I do think that is one thing that makes it unfair for Starfield. I do. Yo, Creature dropped 5 and Lord Bacon the Destroyer dropped 5. Let's go. Let's go. 10 more. Zach Matson, Boris, Wes Hewitt, Hank Kloppers, Imran Zaran. You guys all got memberships, and then Lord Bacons are going out here. LTM Killa, Caesar Oyeda, It's Cat Person Plays, Dude with a drum set, Daniel Papke, all got some. Creature renews for 17 months and says, get in the Discord. Lord Bacon does 5 more. He says, hey, I'm going to do 5 more. T-Man Grove has done 5 more. Let's go. James Garcia, Michael Mahaver, Hunter Marson, Mrs. Polar Bear, Kernaz Tilke. Kernaz was talking earlier. Karma Policeman, Besto, Glizzy Gladiator, M. Jow Bacon, Vibes. If I called your name, you got a membership, and we're not done. Bleep is jumping in. Bleep is going to give 5 members to the community. So many people right now are going to get to come with us to their first members-only piece of content, and it's because of the kindness and generosity of this community. I frickin' love it. Saved Soul got one. The Great Stan Bino got one. Edward Gonzalez, KK Days, and Jennings7 got one. There it is. CrossFit Nerd says, I'll take some of that action. 5 more people. Joker 2K999 was interacting a lot today. Glad to see you get a membership. Jaden Jones, OK, LK Spot, and JJ all got members. Keep it going. Holy moly. You guys are amazing. You guys are absolutely amazing. How many members do you... I wonder how many that gives us. I wonder. We hit 1,500 yesterday. We did. I want to see 2,000 so freaking bad. I want to see 2,000 so bad. Let's take a peek. 1,561. We are 40 members away from 1,600. We are 40-something members away from 1,600 members. Let me schedule this and get the redirect set up. Let me get this set up. Yo, BLK Dragon coming in with a $5 tip through Super Chat. I appreciate it. That was 50 gifted. Yeah, there's another 50 members right there. Boom, 50 bomb. Yo, Durs coming in with the 5 spot. Thank you so much, Durs. Grab them quick. Oh, Bell 5900 is always here. Love seeing somebody who's here a lot get one. John Purdy, Maddie Jarvis, Slice, and Shervier. I see Maddie Jarvis and Shervier talking in chat pretty regular, so I love seeing that. Viewership is holding. 350 people still hanging out and being here. You guys are so dadgum awesome. I love this. Operation Bring People With Us that we do every now and then. I absolutely love that we get to do this. This is so cool. What's the incentive for 2000? So we will do a watch party of Star Wars Episode 1 with my wife. She loves Star Wars Episode 1 and I hate it. And we will do a watch party with the community. Now, you will need a Chrome extension and a Disney Plus subscription. We're not going to do anything illegal, okay? We're not going to do anything illegal. But that's the incentive for 2,000. We hit 1,500, so my wife has to go back into Elden Ring. If you've never been a part of members-only content, every Friday night I stream with my wife, and it's a blast. This Friday night I'm streaming with my brother. He's in town from South Korea. It's going to be hilarious. And once a month, that Friday night stream is a community game night. So if you're a brand new member, man, get in the Discord and enjoy your time here. More of them are coming in. Predator gifted 5 memberships. Double Dan's, Joe Paradiso, Anthony Whitaker, Devin Thomas, and a Potato 2. You guys all got gifted memberships. An 11-month milestone, and it's a tier 2 for my man Valiant. Pretty sure I read somewhere you can't get a gifted sub without hitting the like button. Or I just made that up completely. Thank you, Valiant. Yo, Kaleadair. I want to make sure I say your name right. Kaleadair has gifted 5 memberships. Sam Chopper, Vixel Geo 31, YOLO, Boobs of Macat, and Boogeyman. I love some of these names. There it is. There it is. When are you watching Star Wars? We got to hit 2,000 members. I mean, we don't have enough people here right now to do that, I don't think. If you gifted every person that's in chat, all 343 people aren't enough for us to hit 2,000. It's going to take a little bit more. We could hit 1,600 today. Thank you guys so much for gifting members. Thank you again to Predator and Kaleadair. Kale is fine? Okay, Kale, thank you. A 16-month milestone for my man Fonzo. Come on, come all to the members only stream. Thank you guys so much. Pour one out for Lulu. Yeah, poor Lulu. Poor Lulu. I wish I could click on your name and just give you one. You're on browser now? Okay, Lulu is on browser. Were you able to click allow gifts? Lulu, have you done that? Lono, new Mario Kart tracks are out tomorrow. Next Mario Kart race is when? Talika, I need you just to, no, I can't take the humiliation again. Y'all making it real hard to crap talk non-members. Oh, you can find a new hobby, Eugene, I'm sure. TY so much means a lot. I'm glad to see you get one, Godson. I really, really am. I really am. Join Discord. Listen. Even if you just get Discord, just get in our Discord just so you can get the announcements, okay? YouTube does not do a good job of telling you about members-only content, okay? I do a members-only post. It's supposed to alert you and email you. If you're in the Discord, you'll never miss out. We do a members-only stream at the end of every day, and then we do Friday nights. You're never going to miss out on that. Also, those of you that have a Tier 1 membership, if we get 100 Tier 2 members, I will launch a new segment that I upload on the weekends for Tier 2 members. It will be called Tiers for Tier 2 members. We need 35 people to upgrade to Tier 2, and I will do that. I'll play really tough games that you guys pick, record it, and upload it. Keep in mind, Tier 2 members also get first dibs on community game night. They get into the VIP lounge in the Discord. You might get a code for a game. If Friday nights start getting more and more full and more popular, you're going to want to have that Tier 2 membership so you can cut in line basically and get into the games first. You haven't needed it recently. We haven't had enough people on Friday nights. We hope to continue to grow that. Last couple community game nights have been Fall Guys. We do private servers. It's a frickin' blast. Even if you don't like Fall Guys, we have a really, really good time. So I'm going to give you guys like 2 more minutes to gift members. If I don't see gifted members in 2 more minutes, I'm just going to shut it down and we're going to go over to members only. I'm going to do a members only post. So you might get a ping about that. It's just a members only community post. Get in here, new and old members. Okay, I'm going to post that. And then I'm going to send out a tweet. We want to make sure people don't miss out on this. And then I'm going to make sure and put it in the Discord as well. Time for members only end of day chill. Okay, tweet that. We submitted games for Friday, or are you and your bro playing something specific? If you guys want to submit game suggestions specifically for me and my brother Barrier, go ahead and do that. That would be awesome. And then I'll just go through and curate and pick games again. Oh, Tier 2 members can also vote on the games that my wife and I play. That's another perk of being a Tier 2 member. That is another perk of being a Tier 2 member. So make sure and do that. Okay, you got 1 minute. 1 minute, and if we don't get any more gifted members, we are going to head over to members only. You guys have 1 minute. Okay, I'm hitting the Discord. I hit Twitter. A ton of people just joined the Discord. Love seeing it. Love seeing it. Reforge updates. Okay, good to see those vids going out. Okay, that. Boom. I love that Talika is promoting the stream where she broke Lono's soul. That's just cold. Also, new members, you can see the stream now. Just go to your subscriptions and go to Lono's channel and find the video with Mario Kart on it. Yeah, if you want to watch me get absolutely demoralized and destroyed by Talika. Yeah, sure. Sure, Talika. That's fine. No, that's fine. That's a perk of being a member. That's right. What's another perk of being a Tier 2 member? Oh, golly. That's a lot of perks, isn't it? That horror game would be sick. That's what I love about this community so much. Y'all are so wholesome. Okay, it's officially been 2 minutes. We got to go. I want to keep this rated around 2 hours. I saw Capcom's financial reports and Q&A with board members. I saw a really interesting question and response. Want me to save it for members only? Save it for members only. Hey, Lulu says, you know what? I'll do it myself. Lulu jumps in all by herself. Welcome, Lulu. Glad to have you with us. Come on with us. Let's start the stream. 1577. We're 23 shy of 1600. We're really close to 1600 members. I'm going to go ahead and start the members only stream and do redirect. In case redirect doesn't work, there's a link in chat, okay? Hey, if you clicked on this, you weren't here live for another members-only stream. We end every day with members. Use the link below in the description of all my videos to get into the Discord. That will ensure that you don't miss out on members-only content. YouTube sometimes just doesn't tell you about it. It doesn't really alert you or ping you. It can be a little frustrating if you're paying for this content. I want you to get it, so make sure you're hanging out in the Discord, discord.gg/reforge TV. Today we talked about Starfield. We looked at that preview. It was really, really enjoyable and really, really fun. And we debated and discussed Sea of Thieves. I'm going to end the previous stream about Starfield and bring everybody with me. We had a bunch of new members, so I can't wait for them to come over and enjoy their first members only